What if the symbol you've been taught to fear holds the key to your own divine sight? The all-seeing eye watches from dollar bills, corporate logos, and ancient temple walls, yet most who encounter it experience an instinctive recoil, a programmed response cultivated through centuries of deliberate misdirection. This reaction reveals something profound about human consciousness itself. We fear what reminds us of our forgotten power. Before conspiracy theories transformed it into an emblem of control, before secret societies claimed it as their own, the all-seeing eye served as humanity's most sacred technology of perception. Egyptian priests called it the Eye of Horus, the organ through which gods perceive mortals and mortals glimpse divinity. Hindu mystics named it the third eye of Shiva, whose opening dissolves illusion and reveals cosmic truth. Christian iconographers painted it surrounded by divine light, representing the omniscient gaze of the Creator. Each culture encoded the same message in different forms. There exists within you a faculty of perception beyond ordinary sight, a divine eye that sees through veils of matter into realms of pure consciousness. The modern world has inverted this understanding completely. What once symbolized inner illumination now represents external surveillance. What once pointed toward spiritual sovereignty now suggests worldly domination. This inversion serves a specific purpose. Those who control narratives understand that symbols carry vibrational frequencies. By associating the all-seeing eye with fear, suspicion, and powerlessness, they ensure that millions turn away from their own capacity for transcendent vision. The greatest conspiracy surrounding this symbol has nothing to do with shadowy organizations. It concerns the systematic suppression of humanity's ability to activate their own divine sight. Tonight, we reclaim this ancient technology. We'll journey through Egyptian mystery schools, where initiates learn to open the Eye of Horus within themselves. We'll decode Hermetic texts that reveal the mathematical precision behind this sacred geometry. We'll explore why those in power simultaneously display this symbol everywhere while ensuring the masses never understand its true function. Most importantly, you'll learn the forgotten practice that transforms this symbol from an object of fear into an instrument of awakening. 5,000 years ago, in the temples of ancient Egypt, a revolution in human consciousness took place. The priests of Heliopolis discovered something that would echo through every subsequent mystery tradition. They found that the human body contains an organ of perception that transcends physical sight. They called it the Ujat, the Eye of Horus, and they understood it as both a cosmic principle and a biological reality. The myth tells of Horus battling Set for the throne of Egypt. During their combat, Set tears out Horus's left eye, fragmenting it into 6 pieces. Thoth, god of wisdom, restores the eye, adding a divine fraction that grants it power beyond mortal sight. This wasn't mythology as we understand it today. It was technical instruction encoded in narrative form. The fragmented eye represents ordinary consciousness, scattered across sensory experience. The restoration by Thoth symbolizes the initiate's journey to reassemble their perception through wisdom practices. The divine fraction added by Thoth points to the pineal gland, that mysterious organ nestled deep within the brain that modern science has only begun to understand. Egyptian initiates underwent specific practices to activate this inner eye. They would fast for extended periods, consuming only honey and dates to purify their blood. They practiced concentration exercises using obsidian mirrors, gazing until physical sight dissolved into inner vision. They understood that the Eye of Horus operated through resonance. By attuning their consciousness to specific frequencies through chant, geometry, and ritual, they could activate dormant capacities within their neural architecture. The hieroglyph for the Eye of Horus contains remarkable mathematical precision. When broken down into its component parts, each section represents a fraction used in Egyptian medicine and sacred geometry. The eyebrow equals 1/8, the pupil 1/4, the white 1/2. Together they form 63 64ths, approaching but never reaching unity. That missing 64th fraction represents the leap from human to divine perception, the quantum gap that consciousness must bridge through direct experience rather than calculation. Moving eastward, we find the same understanding encoded in Hindu and Buddhist traditions. The Ajna chakra, located between the eyebrows, corresponds precisely to the Egyptian placement of the Ujjat. Sanskrit texts describe it as a lotus with two petals, representing the convergence of solar and lunar channels, masculine and feminine energies, time and timelessness. When activated, practitioners report experiences identical to those described in Egyptian papyri: perception of light beyond the visible spectrum, direct knowledge without sensory input, awareness of multiple dimensions simultaneously. The Tibetan tradition speaks of the rainbow body, achieved when the inner eye opens fully. Masters who attain this state reportedly dissolve their physical form into pure light at death, leaving only hair and nails behind. Western science dismisses such accounts as mythology, yet documented cases exist with multiple witnesses, photographs, and inexplicable physical evidence. The common thread through all these traditions remains consistent. The human being possesses an organ of spiritual sight that, when activated, fundamentally alters one's relationship with reality. The Greeks inherited this knowledge through Pythagoras, who studied in Egyptian temples for 22 years. He brought back understanding of the mystical eye that perceives eternal forms behind temporary appearances. Plato encoded this in his allegory of the cave, where prisoners mistake shadows for reality until one turns toward the light. That turning represents the activation of inner sight. The Eleusinian Mysteries, Greece's most sacred initiation rites, culminated in the opening of what they called the Eye of the Soul. Early Christians possessed this knowledge before institutional religion obscured it. The Gospel of Matthew states, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light." That single eye refers directly to the unified vision of activated pineal sight. Gnostic texts speak even more explicitly of the luminous eye within, the pearl of great price hidden in the field of the body. Medieval Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart wrote extensively about the eye through which God sees us being the same eye through which we see God, a direct reference to this unified organ of divine perception. The systematic suppression of this knowledge began during the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, when Christianity underwent radical standardization. Texts discussing the inner eye were declared heretical. Practices for its activation were branded as witchcraft. Within centuries, what had been humanity's common inheritance became the closely guarded secret of underground mystery schools. The symbol remained in Christian iconography, painted in churches and illuminated manuscripts, but its practical application disappeared from public knowledge. Yet the truth has a way of preserving itself. Alchemists encoded it in their emblems. Freemasons built it into their temple architecture. Rosicrucians wove it through their manifestos. Each group understood that certain knowledge cannot be transmitted through words alone. It must be experienced directly, awakened from within through specific practices and states of consciousness. They preserved the symbol as a seed, knowing that future generations would rediscover its meaning when humanity was ready to reclaim its divine sight. Modern neuroscience has stumbled upon remarkable correlations with ancient teachings. The pineal gland, dismissed for centuries as a vestigial organ, produces dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful consciousness-altering compound known to science. This same molecule floods the brain during birth, death, and mystical experiences. The pineal contains photoreceptive cells, similar to those in the retina, suggesting it once functioned as a literal third eye in our evolutionary past. It responds to electromagnetic fields, explaining why ancient practices emphasized specific head positions during meditation. It calculates and processes light patterns even in complete darkness. French philosopher René Descartes called the pineal the seat of the soul, the point where mind and matter converge. He intuited what mystics had long known through direct experience. This tiny pine cone-shaped gland serves as an antenna between dimensions, a biological stargate that opens when properly activated. Modern research into dimethyltryptamine experiences reveals consistent reports of encountering intelligent entities, receiving downloads of information, and perceiving reality as a living, conscious matrix. These accounts mirror precisely the experiences described in ancient mystery texts. The fluoridation of water supplies, the proliferation of electromagnetic radiation, the constant bombardment of blue light from screens, all these modern developments specifically impact pineal function. Fluoride calcifies the pineal more than any other tissue in the body. By age 17, most modern humans have significant pineal calcification, whereas ancient Egyptian mummies show minimal calcification even in elderly individuals. This cannot be coincidental. Whether through ignorance or design, modern life systematically impairs the very organ our ancestors considered most sacred. The question becomes inevitable. Why do those who rule display the all-seeing eye so prominently while ensuring the masses never understand its true significance? The answer lies in understanding how symbols function as consciousness programs. Every time you see the eye on currency, in corporate logos, in entertainment media, your subconscious receives a specific transmission. Without conscious understanding, this transmission programs fear, submission, and externalization of power. You're taught to believe that the eye belongs to them, that surveillance and control flow from outside authorities rather than from your own awakened perception. This represents the most elegant form of control ever devised. By displaying the symbol of inner illumination, while associating it with external authority, they ensure that millions possess the key to their prison, but never recognize it as such. Every dollar bill becomes a talisman of inverted power, reminding you that the eye watches from above rather than awakening from within. The conspiracy isn't that secret societies use this symbol. The conspiracy is that they've convinced humanity to fear and reject their own capacity for divine sight. Consider the strategic brilliance of this inversion. Those who might naturally seek spiritual awakening instead channel their energy into exposing Illuminati symbolism. They spend years documenting the eye's appearance in music videos and corporate logos, never realizing they're being directed away from the symbol's actual power. The best way to hide something is to place it in plain sight while completely inverting its meaning. The controllers haven't hidden the all-seeing eye. They've hidden its true function behind layers of fear, suspicion, and misdirection. Ancient mystery schools understood that consciousness creates reality through observation. Quantum physics has rediscovered this principle, showing that particles exist in superposition until observed, at which point they collapse into definite states. The all-seeing eye represents the supreme observer, the consciousness that collapses infinite potential into manifest reality. When this eye opens within an individual, they gain the ability to consciously participate in reality creation, rather than unconsciously receiving whatever reality is projected upon them. This explains why spiritual awakening has always threatened established power structures. An individual with activated inner sight sees through social programming, recognizes manipulation, and perceives the constructed nature of consensus reality. They cannot be controlled through fear, because they see fear as a frequency rather than a fixed reality. They cannot be manipulated through desire, because they understand desire as energy that can be consciously directed rather than unconsciously followed. Such individuals become impossible to govern through conventional means. The Hermetic axiom states, as above, so below, as within, so without. The all-seeing eye embodies this principle perfectly. The eye above, displayed on pyramids and currencies, mirrors the eye within, dormant in most, but active in few. The macrocosmic eye of divine providence reflects in the microcosmic eye of individual awakening. When you understand this correspondence, you realize that fighting against external symbols of control only reinforces the illusion of separation. The real revolution happens when you activate the inner eye and begin creating reality from your own divine center, rather than accepting reality created by others. Mystery traditions taught that the all-seeing eye operates through three aspects. First, it perceives what is, seeing through illusions to fundamental truth. Second, it envisions what could be, accessing probability fields and potential futures. Third, it projects what will be, collapsing quantum possibilities through focused observation. These three aspects correspond to the Egyptian trinity of Osiris as past, Isis as present, and Horus as future, all unified in the eternal now of awakened perception. The symbol's geometry encodes precise instructions for activation. The triangle represents the trinity of body, mind, and spirit that must align for the eye to open. The radiating light depicts the expansion of consciousness that occurs when this alignment is achieved. The eye itself sits at the convergence point, the still center where all forces balance. Medieval alchemists called this the peacock's tail, the moment when all colors of the spectrum appear simultaneously before resolving into pure white light. This isn't metaphorical. Advanced practitioners report seeing actual light patterns during deep meditation that match these ancient descriptions exactly. Throughout history, certain individuals have demonstrated the powers that come with an activated third eye. Nostradamus used obsidian mirrors and water bowls to induce the trance states where his prophetic visions emerged. Edgar Cayce would lie down, place his hands on his forehead, and enter states where he could diagnose illnesses and perceive events across time and space. Nikola Tesla described receiving his inventions as complete visions that he simply had to construct in physical reality. Each discovered their own method for activating the inner eye, but the underlying principle remained constant. When the divine eye opens, the boundaries between possible and actual dissolve. The Sanskrit word for the third eye chakra, ajna, means both to perceive and to command. This dual meaning reveals the ultimate secret. Perception and creation are not separate processes, but two aspects of a single phenomenon. When you truly see reality, you simultaneously participate in its creation. The all-seeing eye doesn't just observe, it manifests through observation. This is why ancient initiates guarded this knowledge so carefully. In the wrong hands, or more accurately in unconscious hands, this power creates chaos rather than cosmos. Modern practitioners have discovered that the pineal gland responds to specific frequencies. The frequency of 432 Hz, considered sacred in ancient traditions, creates resonance patterns that stimulate pineal activation. Binaural beats at specific frequencies can induce the brain states associated with mystical experience. Even more remarkably, group meditations focusing on the third eye create measurable changes in electromagnetic fields that can be detected by sensitive instruments. Science is slowly validating what mystery schools have taught for millennia. The all-seeing eye is not just a symbol, but a functional technology of consciousness. Now we arrive at the practical application. Understanding history and theory means nothing without direct experience. The following practice comes from synthesizing Egyptian, Hermetic, and Eastern traditions into a format accessible to the modern practitioner. This is not New Age invention, but ancient technology translated for contemporary consciousness. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed for at least 20 minutes. Sit comfortably with your spine straight, but not rigid. The alignment of the spine creates an energy channel that connects the base of your body to the crown of your head. Close your physical eyes and bring your attention to the point between your eyebrows, slightly above and behind the surface, where the pineal gland rests. Begin with conscious breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale through your mouth for 4 counts. Hold empty for 4 counts. This square breathing pattern has been used in mystery schools for thousands of years to balance the nervous system and prepare consciousness for expansion. Continue this rhythm until it becomes natural and automatic. Now visualize a small point of indigo light at your third eye center. Don't strain to see it, simply know it's there, like knowing where your hand is, even with eyes closed. With each inhale, imagine this point of light growing slightly brighter. With each exhale, feel it pulsing with gentle warmth. Continue this for several minutes until the sensation becomes tangible. Begin to mentally chant the sound AUM, not aloud but internally, feeling the vibration resonate in the center of your skull. The ancient Egyptians used a similar sound, Amen, for the same purpose. These seed syllables create resonance patterns that stimulate the pineal gland. As you continue, you may notice pressure at your third eye point. This is normal and indicates activation beginning. After several minutes of this practice, shift your visualization. See the point of light expanding into an eye of light. This eye looks both inward and outward simultaneously. It perceives your inner landscape of thoughts and emotions while also sensing the energy fields around you. Don't force this perception. Simply allow awareness to expand naturally. The key to this practice lies in consistency rather than intensity. 5 minutes of daily practice creates more lasting activation than occasional hour-long sessions. The pineal gland, like any organ, requires regular stimulation to maintain function. Ancient practitioners understood this, incorporating third eye practices into daily prayer and meditation routines. As you develop this practice, you may experience various phenomena. Pressure or tingling at the forehead is common. Some see geometric patterns or flows of color behind closed eyelids. Others report sudden insights or solutions to problems they've been contemplating. Vivid dreams and increased synchronicities often accompany regular practice. These are signs that the inner eye is awakening from its cultural slumber. Important warnings must be shared. This practice can bring suppressed emotions and memories to consciousness. The all-seeing eye sees everything, including what you've hidden from yourself. Be prepared for psychological material to surface. This is part of the purification process. Also, as your perception expands, you may become more sensitive to others' emotions and environmental energies. Learning to consciously close the eye when needed is as important as learning to open it. Advanced practitioners can enhance this basic technique through specific dietary practices. The ancients knew that certain foods support pineal function while others inhibit it. Raw cacao contains compounds that stimulate pineal activity. Spirulina and chlorella help detoxify fluoride and heavy metals that accumulate in the gland. Apple cider vinegar helps decalcify. Avoiding fluoridated water, processed foods, and excessive blue light exposure supports the eye's natural function. The practice should evolve as you develop sensitivity. Eventually, you won't need formal meditation to activate the eye. A moment of conscious attention will suffice. You'll learn to shift between ordinary sight and inner vision at will, like focusing near and far with physical eyes. This flexibility of perception is what mystery schools called the art of seeing. It's not about permanently residing in altered states, but about consciously choosing your mode of perception based on what serves the moment. Remember that the all-seeing eye is not something you acquire, but something you uncover. Every human possesses this capacity. It's been deliberately obscured through cultural programming, chemical suppression, and symbolic inversion, but it cannot be destroyed. Like a seed buried in darkness, it awaits only the proper conditions to germinate and flower into full illumination. We stand at a unique moment in human history. The very systems designed to suppress spiritual awakening have become so obvious that they catalyze the awakening they sought to prevent. Millions now question the nature of reality, seek authentic spiritual experience, and recognize the symbols of control that surround them. This mass awakening terrifies those who rule through deception because they understand a fundamental truth. When enough individuals activate their inner sight, consensus reality itself transforms. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill was meant to program submission to external authority. Instead, it has become a constant reminder that the eye exists, that perception shapes reality, that consciousness holds power beyond physical force. Every time you handle currency, you touch the symbol of your own dormant divinity. The question is whether you'll continue seeing it as their symbol of control or recognize it as your birthright of divine perception. The choice to activate your inner sight is ultimately a choice about how you wish to exist in this world. Will you remain a passive receiver of projected reality, seeing only what you're shown, believing only what you're told? Or will you reclaim the divine faculty that allows you to perceive truth directly, to see through veils of deception, to participate consciously in the creation of reality? This choice cannot be made for you by any external authority, teacher, or tradition. It must arise from your own sovereign will. Those who have walked this path before you report a consistent experience. Reality becomes more vivid yet less solid. You begin to perceive the living consciousness within all things. Synchronicities multiply as inner and outer worlds align. You develop an unshakable knowing that transcends belief, a direct perception of truth that requires no external validation. Most remarkably, you discover that the divine presence you've been taught to seek in heaven or in temples has always been watching through your own eyes, waiting for you to notice its eternal gaze. The all-seeing eye ultimately represents the paradox of awakening. You must seek what you already possess. You must activate what has always been active. You must remember what you never truly forgot. The eye has been watching all along. The only question is when you'll stop looking away from your own divine sight. When you finally turn toward it, you'll discover that the greatest secret was never hidden at all. It was displayed on every dollar, painted in every temple, encoded in every tradition, hidden in plain sight like the eye itself, waiting for humanity to stop fearing its own transcendent vision and finally, simply, completely open its eyes.